Yeah.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. We had a little technical difficulty, so we're going to
People out there can comment if you can hear us.
Yeah.
Let us know if you're live right now. Wait, we don't got any viewers yet. Let us know if you can hear us.
Please do.
Yeah.
Please. All right.
All right, let's get into this thing.
Let's do it.
So today, podcast sponsor, we're going to get this out of the way. The new Winnipeg Dodge, located in the Point West Auto Park, servicing all vehicles from purchase to after-sales service to maintenance and body shop. We are your one-stop dealership. It is all here. Contact us today at 204-774-4444. How many times do you have to say that in a day? Eh?
Too many.
Or you can shop online or check us out online, winnipegdodge.com. So today we have a representative from there. We're going to be talking about his life, his previous life, and now today he was born in Brockton, Massachusetts. This American-made father of three now calls Winnipeg home. He studied business and criminal justice at Northeastern University, but ended up playing professional football in both the national and Canadian football leagues. He retired as a Blue Bomber and now spends his days at the new Winnipeg Dodge. He goes by many names like the Chiseler and Mr. Last Word. His favorite food is anything from Chick-fil-A, and frugality is his specialty. Everybody, let's welcome Mr. Jason Vega. All right, so we had a chance to warm up.
Yep.
We had a few interesting little conversations.
Can we go into the Chiseler?
Yeah.
Yeah,
let's go through that.
What does that
and
mean?
where is a Chick-fil-A around here?
There's
There
no
isn't.
Chick-fil-A.
North Dakota.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it must suck that that's your favorite restaurant, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go into that because yesterday we were talking. Let's talk about that. But yesterday,
Which one? Let's talk about that.
apparently that's my thing.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
So yesterday we were having a debate. I love Sobeys baked chicken. I don't know if you ever had it.
No.
They call it fried chicken, but it's baked. It's phenomenal, and it's like $2 for a nice big fat thigh. That's my favorite chicken place. This guy wanted to go and try Popeyes yesterday.
I didn't do it.
Jerome loves KFC.
Yeah.
You love Chick-fil-A for their chicken,
Yep.
or what?
I mean, anything fast food, I'm going to go Chick-fil-A.
So why? What's so good about it?
Yeah.
I don't know what they do with their big thing is a chicken sandwich, right? It's super plain. It's just your bread, chicken breast, and then like a pickle. That's
Yeah.
it, right? But it's just the most amazing tasting
Like
sandwich.
so
ever.
tender,
Yes.
perfectly breaded, not overly breaded.
Every time.
I found that Popeyes was too bready. I had it a couple times, and I don't know. It just was too, you get all, and then your skin doesn't feel good. And you're
Yeah.
not happy about what you ate.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel about Popeyes. Where's your favorite chicken joint?
Well, I don't know. I'll be honest with the chicken that I buy is over here from No Frills. It's $5 for
Oh,
8
yeah.
breasts, and I like the brioche bun. I make it myself. But as far as chicken sandwiches, you know who has a good one? Is that Mary
Brown's.
Mary Brown's.
Never had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not bad. I feel like that would be comparable to the Chick-fil-A possibly, and they do the one pickle.
Yeah.
I would like
just
to
so
know two
basic.
things. Number one, from our audience, who doesn't like chicken? Like, I guess if you're a vegan and whatever.
Well,
but,
especially crispy chicken sandwiches.
Like, who
That's-
doesn't like crispy chicken?
I actually know someone who's allergic to chicken.
Really?
My wife's best friend is allergic to chicken.
What
Every time she
what
eats
happens?
it, she breaks out like in hives and everything.
Really?
I couldn't believe it because we were having dinner and I said,
What is it about
Why
the
aren't you
chicken?
eating?
Yeah.
and she goes, I'm allergic to chicken. I said, what? Like, what kind of life is that?
I guess if you have to eat chicken breasts, I can see that would, fine. You don't want to eat those too many, but man, to not be able to have a chicken sandwich,
That's tough. So audience, everybody out there, let us know where the best chicken place is in Winnipeg.
yeah. I actually really like the McChickens, to be perfectly honest.
I used to love
Nothing wrong with
it.
them.
Yeah, that might be
Little mayo sauce.
that might be the low end chicken sandwich, but whatever, man. I'm still down with it. I've always liked those things.
Speaking of weird allergies, I got a friend. Well, I'm allergic to bananas. These guys all ride me on it. I don't know. Something about something in the. I think it's too much potassium or whatever it is.
Okay.
But anyways, I got a friend who's allergic to cold and loves hockey.
Allergic
So
to cold.
Yeah, we went on the ice one time.
Okay.
And I'm like, dude, what's wrong with your face? He's like, man, I'm so allergic to cold. Like, and his face was like swelling up, and he's like playing hockey, and he's played hockey for years. And I'm like,
Wow.
Sounds like my wife.
You live in Winnipeg?
She's always allergic to cold.
I think we're all a little bit allergic to cold.
Yeah.
Like even right now, it's sunny out and it looks like a summer day, and then
Until
you
you
go
get
outside and you're just like, oh my god, what is going on here?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Anytime already. Anytime this weather can finally
Give us
change.
a break.
Eh? Jeez,
Yeah.
it was warmer a month ago.
That's
than
why
it
our
is
COVID
today.
cases are so low.
Right.
'Cause
'cause
The,
no one
the
knows
weather's
it.
just not saying you're not getting summer. You're
Yep.
staying indoors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's all part of the plan, man.
My prediction was it was going to open everything up by May long weekend. Because how
Yeah.
can you stop? You can't stop summer. People are going to have to
No.
get arrested. You're not.
Yeah.
No one's staying indoors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody. But it's funny that they are arresting people in the U.S.
Yes,
sitting on
sir.
the beach and stuff like that.
Yeah, so Florida, I mean, it's really your southern states, obviously, because that's where the beaches are, but that's where you're seeing the most of the arrests and the riots and all that good stuff, because
What?
they have the beaches right there, and
Yeah.
you can't go to them.
Yeah, how do you not?
Right? So you have the people like, screw that, I'm just going to go to the beach anyway, I'll
Yeah.
get arrested. And then the people that are upset that the other people got arrested are at the state house protesting that they're getting arrested. So it's just...
Yeah.
There's just arrests on arrests.
Crazy what we're
Where are they going to
protesting
fit
too,
They're
eh?
going to have a bunch of privileged people in these prisons.
Yeah.
For sure.
Can you imagine?
Well, they arrested that one lady for opening up her salon. I don't know if you saw this or not. And she refuses to apologize. I think the judge was going to let her go if she apologized, admitted what she's doing wrong, and she's not. She's taking a stand on it, man.
Yep.
She didn't apologize. So I think she had to do 7 days in
7
jail
days.
and $3,500 in fine or something like that.
Yep.
But
So what is it about that? Like businesses, like I get it because I'm a business owner and I'm terrified of what's going to happen on the back end of this. Meaning like they're going to. They keep saying we're deferring, right? So the other day I called my bank because they say, hey, yeah, no interest, no payments for 6 months. I'm like, well, that just sounds like a gift,
Yep.
right? And then I was like, man, that just seems too good to be true. So I called again a couple weeks later and I just said, hey, I want to get a little bit more clarity on this. Because the person I talked to kind of seemed very nonchalant about it.
Right.
And they said, yeah, so what we're going to do is we're compounding the interest over the next 6 months.
Yep.
So you won't pay anything. Don't worry about it. But it's the interest you would have paid anyways.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, but if I would have been making my payments, that interest payment would have been going down and I would owe less on the back end. So she's like, yeah, we just take the interest, which would have been about $4,000, and we would have just tacked it onto their principal. And I'm like, so I would have had to pay more.
Right.
well, they're compounding your interest yet too. It's not just that you're paying the regular interest.
And so like all these businesses, and I talk to other business owners, and everything is getting deferred, right? So it's like when this opens up, and this is I think the biggest fear for a lot of businesses is that when they say, okay, everything's being lifted, right? Well, number one, what about the businesses that are opening right now? For instance, like the hair salon guy next to us won't open till June for one reason: he can't get masks. He can't get face shields. He can't get gowns, and he can't get all that stuff. And if you can, well, you're paying a premium.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Like a mask now is like $10 a mask versus they're like 50 cents before. Right? And if you got to dispose of everything, how does that make any sense for the business owner? And then is the landlord going to expect to reopen up? Or is the government just going to pull out like, hey, we're going to stop covering wages? Like, how does that work with CERB? Do they just cut people off of EI? Like, I think that's
so many unknowns.
Yeah, that's kind of like the scary part. And so when they're compounding things, they're like, yeah, you'll just pay me back later, right? It's like owing the mob, right? No, don't worry about it. I got
What's the VIG?
Yeah, you're going to owe me a favor later.
Yep.
Right? And then all of a sudden a box shows up at your door and they say, keep it there for a month.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
What's in this box? Well, that's what's going to happen too on the back end. That's what I'm scared, because right now everybody can kind of like form together and bond together as one. But as your rent goes up down the road, or as your lease is up at the end of the year or whatever it is, and then the landlord's like, well, too bad. This is no longer big news.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Like, it's not going to be big news. Now it's big news, right?
Mhm.
Everybody's taking care of everybody. But after this, is it going to be a big scramble? That's what I want to know.
And and there's going to be callbacks. People who got all this free money, they're not going to, the government say, oh, by the way, you didn't really qualify for it. So we're going to need a bunch of that back. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a big, it's going to be a shit show in my opinion. So.
Or people that are still earning. Like I
Yeah.
know some people that are running businesses while they're on CERB, and then they're taking money into their accounts.
Yep.
It's like, you're going to get a nice little audit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and nobody really knows the right answer to that. Like, can you do it or can you not? Like, it's not like businesses are trying to do it. Like, that's my position. I have a job here, and I have a business, so I'm still doing business. I'm still taking money in, thankfully, but I'm not drawing any money from there personally. So, because I'm on CERB from here, right? But what if they say, well, Rick, you made X amount of dollars through CSP, so. I just don't know. I don't know what to do. Should I make money or should I just be a bum?
So what's the mindset with that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a former pro athlete. Like, you don't know if you're going to play next year.
Yep.
So what is it like? Like, how can people get out of that worry and stress? Because worrying is like false evidence appearing real. It's fear, right? You don't know what. So people get so scared of what's going to happen next month, next week, tomorrow, right? And you would hope that some people would just not have to worry about the things that are happening in a year, but a lot of people are so scared of what's happening tomorrow.
Right.
So what about you, like being a former professional athlete? How do you get over that fear of not knowing?
It's just learning to be resilient, man. It's just whenever something bad comes up, then you're just ready because you've prepared for it mentally. Okay, well, this is how things are going right now, but if this goes wrong, like what would I do? Right? So then when that actually does happen or something similar to that, you're not panicked. You're saying, okay, well, you know what? I've already thought this through. I know what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. Whereas, the opposite side of it is, okay, well, we'll just wait for something to go wrong.
Right.
And then when it goes wrong, it's like, holy shit, what do we do now?
Yeah, I see some business owners, like I'm very connected in the gym, like the gym owner business. And a couple people, there was a question that was asked, what are you doing with your business right now or whatever? Are you still trying to market and get new clients? And they're like, nope. Couple guys were just like, nope. I'm waiting. It's not worth my efforts. I'm like, what do you mean it's not worth your efforts?
Yeah.
Then what are you doing with your time? You know what I mean? This is not a Netflix and chill time. Like you still got to continue to work, man. Like enjoy it. Like, take your lessons that you're learning, take the breather that you need, but you still got to be productive.
For sure.
Right?
It's a great time to be productive too, especially one of the things that we do is this podcast, try to get on social media. Like your audience has grown 10 times, right? That's what everybody's looking for. So if you can somehow put out some content or, now would be a great time to learn a new skill, something like that.
Right.
Who was just telling me about, was that you saying that you never had the time? Or no, we were talking about buying a car.
Right. Yeah.
And now people, in fact, let's talk about that. So you're from the New Winnipeg Dodge, and you were mentioning that, I was saying, in my opinion, I thought nobody was going to be cars. You're actually saying that it's a lot busier than you expect it to be.
Yeah.
Tell us why that is.
Well, I don't know for sure because I'm not into the psychology of it, but I can just kind of give you my perspective on it. I think I'll go backwards. So I think the period of time people have been sitting in their houses with nothing to do and not being able to buy anything has driven them crazy. So then all of a sudden they're saying, yeah, let's go buy a big ticket item, whatever it is, because that'll make them feel better. And I think that's part of human nature on a big scale is that we feel better when we buy big ticket items, right? Because we feel accomplished, whatever that is. So cars are essentially what the top 3 biggest expenses you'll have in your life.
So house, car, and
marriage,
boat.
Okay. Boat. Yeah.
The boat,
marriage, whatever it is. Typically, it's going to be one of the biggest ones, and I think you kind of go store crazy in a sense. If you're sitting at home, you can't go to Best Buy to walk around. You can't go to work. You can't go anywhere, and the only thing that is open is a dealership.
Well, you can't travel, right?
Yeah,
we know like a couple of people that couldn't go on a family trip, and they got their airfare refunded. So you think about that, that's $1,500 a person.
Right.
And then you're talking about a stay, which is, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. And anywhere you stay, anywhere is minimum $200 US.
Yep.
So you're looking at $300 plus food, plus this. So people have a nice little nest egg saved up.
For sure.
Right. And, I think right now is the best time if people want to go and get that big car.
Right.
And drive around because gas is so cheap. But did you see it went up 15% overnight?
Yeah.
15% spike
Yeah.
like that. That's crazy.
It's based on the good news, right? We're opening up a little bit, whatever that means. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I don't think you'll see too many people complain about the gas because it was so high for so long.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, it dropped to a level nobody had even seen
69,
before.
I think I saw was the lowest. Yeah, that's crazy.
I think I filled up at Costco a couple of weeks ago for like 59 cents or 58 cents.
Yeah.
I said, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So it goes up to 70. It's like, oh, big whoop. Like, it's still 30 cents less than what I normally fill up at. So, I don't know. But I think the long term of it is that you have the big ticket item because you've been sitting at home for so long. And then the short term is, okay, well, we have a couple days or a couple weeks off of work. We've been planning on buying a car. We might as well go do it while we can.
Yeah.
Right. So.
See, that makes total sense to me. That's in my own brain. That seems to work. But
you already had a little bit pushed away.
Yeah.
And you're already you're going to trade your vehicle. You had it all planned out prior to this.
Yeah, for sure.
Continue on with it.
But if your business is shut down, you got laid off, and now you're buying a vehicle. I don't know. I just find that to be something crazy. But
you'd be surprised.
Yeah. I would like to actually dig into that, but I mean that might be talking too many personal things. You know what I mean? It's the psyche, the consumerism, or the psychology behind consumerism. I just find it to be such a powerful thing. It actually took me several years to get over that. Learn to be frugal, like we were talking about there. And to me, if it ain't free, I don't want to do it. There's no value to it to me if it's not free. You know what I mean? And I almost do it like a hobby. Like, how many things can I do free or inexpensively? One of the things would be like riding my bike instead of driving a car. Like, I got a big truck. It sucks way too much gas. I actually filled up the other day for $70, which might seem high, but you know what? I'm sure what it's like. Trucks are like $130, $150 to fill up. It's crazy. It was awesome. I loved it. But so as a frugal guy, what kind of things do you do to save money here and there?
you know what? I still regularly wear the workout clothes or whatever clothes that I got when I was playing football. So like, there's still stuff in my drawer that I haven't worn before, athletic gear, and I'll just continue to wear it. Like, I don't wear jeans outside of the house. I'll just wear workout pants. I'll have my Lululemon whatever that I bought in 2013.
It's not velour.
So
it's not the
clothes-
velour FUBU suit. FUBU suit.
Nothing. It's just a regular.
Did you ever have one of those?
No. My wife might argue that, but I didn't.
Oh,
so
man, I remember that.
I don't know. Did we talk about where he played? I think
No,
we did.
well, we
did.
did.
Yeah,
We
okay,
did.
So let's just go into that a little bit.
Sure,
people
sure.
have
So you're an ex-professional football player.
Yep.
Can you give us the history of that?
I can give her the quick rundown.
Sure.
Where'd you play college? Or
Northeastern University. It's a small school in Boston.
Okay.
Like right in the heart of Boston. So it's
Right.
a 1AA school or whatever conference they call it now. But it was right in the heart of Boston, graduated. I went up to play for Hamilton Tiger Cats in the CFL. I ended up tearing my groin after making the team, so I sat out that season. And I went to be an academic advisor for student athletes at my school. So I worked there for a number of months.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I was sitting on the other side of the table, right? Like
Mhm.
6 months before that, I was the one that was getting advised. Now I'm helping these kids figure it out. And you start to really learn that, not everyone has the same, I guess, help, right? So some are dedicated on point with everything with their academics, and then others are just like, where the hell am I?
Yeah.
Why am I here? Why do I have to go to class 5 times a day? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Right?
I find that's probably why you've got such a level head on your shoulders right now. Just talking to you, you're a very calm individual. You got it together, right? Like I know a lot of ex-athletes and they still don't got it together, right? And so you helping others, right? You may not have all the answers, but at least you have one answer that you might be able to help one person,
Right.
and then you learn through that experience, right? So I think a lot of people can learn from that right now while they're going through COVID. Is like, instead of just focusing internally, like how can, I got to get through my day and I'm so stressed out and it's, I got all this on me and I'm too busy. And I find that like we do ads and people are still writing that they were writing they're too busy while they're not working.
Right.
It's like, how are you too busy? You just got 8 hours a day back.
Right.
So I think that that's something that people can learn from you right away, is that they, go out and just see how you can help.
Right.
Right. Just do it. If it's even just a quick reach out to somebody that I always do this thing. If I think of them, even if it's like one of those, should I message them? I just message them.
Yeah.
If I thought of that person, I'm going to message them. The other day I did that with one of our old coaches, Julia, and we ended up talking for an hour.
Yeah.
So anyways, we continue on. So you're helping students,
Yeah.
athletes.
So then I said, you know what? I think I want to play again. I reached out to my agent, and Winnipeg was holding a tryout in Dallas or that area. I can't even remember exactly where. So I took a day off of work and flew out to Dallas that day. Got off the plane. I remember it's so funny. I'd never been to Dallas before. I got off the plane. I said, well, how the hell do I get to this place? I don't have a car. Like, how do I get there? So then I took a cab. It was to the wrong place by, I think it was a couple blocks. So I ended up having to walk, and I found it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, this is where it is. And it was like, CFL tryouts are very different from anything in the NFL, right? Everything for the NFL is super structured. Like, everyone knows that it's going on. The CFL is like, hey, there's a football field over there. We're going to try out there.
Yeah.
And that's before, social media really became a thing, and they started bringing out these cameras to their workouts. So it literally was 150 guys in this field. Okay, go run your 40. Okay, yeah, go run your 40. And it was just this really nonchalant thing. So it's hard. I wouldn't necessarily say it's hard to stand out, but it's hard to be focused when you have literally guys that are just, I haven't worked out in 3 years, but I'm here to try out for the CFL.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, well, this is everything that I wanted. I'm trying to work out with these guys, right? So I had the workout. I got on the plane, and by the time I landed, I had an offer from Winnipeg. So I said, okay, well, I think I'm going to do it. And I think what really pushed me to do it was I got back to work, and I had a really good relationship with my boss at that time. She was my academic advisor when I was a student athlete. And I mentioned to her that, I'm thinking about it. And she said to me, and I'll never forget it, and I never spoke to her again after I had left my last day at work. She said, well, why would you waste your time
Playing football.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked at her like, holy, why would I waste my time? Like, this is what I've been working for my entire life. And I got an opportunity to play. And you're telling me, why would I waste my time? I said, okay, well, here's my 2 weeks. I'll see you. So, and it was a brutal 2 weeks. Like, she was just on me like,
What was the job?
It was the academic advisor.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Yeah.
Right, but I worked in an office directly next to her, and she was just on me like you wouldn't believe. I'd get to work 2 hours before to work out, and she'd give me shit about working out at work. It's like, well, it's not really work. This is like a university, and there's a gym down the street. That's where I'm going to work out. Well, that's not what you're here for.
So once you quit, then she turned into this monster.
Yes. But she was the nicest person before that, right? And that's what really pushed me towards it. That ended up in Winnipeg. And that's where things really took off for me. Like I started my first game, and then I played here 2 years in Winnipeg. Got the opportunity to try out for the NFL. I was back in Brockton, and the Patriots were the ones that were the first ones to offer me a workout. So I think it was the day after Christmas. I had to fly, or not fly. I drove to Foxborough. It was like 20 minutes from my house, which was, I guess at the time, I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was, but it was a big deal. Like I was sitting at home and I had to drive to Foxborough to go work out for Belichick. So I got there, worked out, and same thing. They did a huge interview thing where they're calling my coach and my family and trying to figure out who I was, where I came from. Like it's a really extravagant thing that they do. They try to figure out who you are and who the people around you are so that they make a good decision. So by the end of that day, I had signed with them, and then went through the whole entire off-season program, did everything well, got to my first preseason game, and as an undrafted free agent from the CFL, you're not getting any playing time. They drafted guys, and then there's guys that have been in the NFL for a while that are on the team. You're literally the last person that's going to play. So I had to adjust to that idea. Played there. In my first preseason game, they put me in with like 9 minutes left in the game. So then I actually played well, I guess, considering I was cold, literally standing there for 45 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I get in, I make three tackles for losses on a pretty mobile quarterback at the time. It was Dennis Dixon. He played at Oregon. Played really well, but in the process, I think after the first tackle that I made, I'd sprained my MCL. So by the time the end of the game came, I could barely move my knee, but I was like, okay, I'll be okay. The next morning, I couldn't do anything. So they said to me, well, we have a preseason game in 5 days. If you can't practice, you can't play here.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like that. So Nick Casario sat down with me. He said, listen, if you can't practice today, you got to go, because Belichick doesn't want guys here who can't practice. So, okay, well, I got to go. Because I can't. I literally, I have a brace on my leg, and I'm on crutches because you guys told me I have to wait 2 weeks. I can't play in 4 days. So I got released, drove back home.
So what did you learn from that? Because you're kind of like, okay, I can't play. Like a lot of people wouldn't accept that. You know what I mean? And
what I learned, I mean, I guess I'll probably get into it a little bit more about my mentality when it came to football later on. I was always really hands off. Like, while football was really important to me, I really wanted to play in the NFL. I understood that I didn't have to. Like, that wasn't the end all be all. If I didn't, that wasn't going to be the end of the world, because there's life after that, right? So it was hard for me being told that I couldn't practice, because obviously I wanted to be on the team and I wanted to prove myself. And knowing that it wasn't really an option, and if I did go, I was probably going to make it worse. So I made the decision. I said, you know what, that's fine. If you think that's the case, then I'll just go home, and maybe something else will be there for me. So again, it was sat at home, or not, I wouldn't say sat at home. I literally went to work out right after that because I was so pissed off.
Love that. Like a lot of people
go.
learn from that. I think
That's
a lot of people
mentality,
right now are just, they don't know what's going to happen. And there's a couple, you have two options. You sit around and you mope and you complain and you blame everybody else, right? Oh, it's Belichick's fault. You could blame the coach. You could blame the play. Why'd they put me in so late? I was cold, right? You can look at it that, or you can just say, you know what? I'm going to get back. When I get back to home, I'm going to get back to work. Right. And I think a lot of people right now going with this COVID have if they aren't doing what they're doing, they don't know what their purpose is. And so they start to make like weird and awkward decisions, and you know what I mean? And some people have the strength to bounce back out of that, right? Like there's some days you realize, what am I doing? Right? I think everybody goes through that. And then there's people that just say, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. right to the bottle, or right to the, you know what I mean?
Whatever
Other
it is,
stuff.
yeah.
Or the whatever,
Right? And then they're completely down the opposite path. And then there's people that wake up and just say, you know what? Give your head a shake, right?
Yeah, and get back
Plan
to work.
it out and just immediately go to work. Just do something.
Right,
Something is better than nothing.
for sure.
Sitting around trying to plan is not the answer.
No.
Just get to work.
So you came back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, so I ended up signing with Dallas, finished out the season essentially.
So this was after you got hurt.
Yes.
So you went back home to Massachusetts.
Yeah, so I drove. Well, I was going back and forth from home
Oh,
because at
because
the
it was
time,
a
it's
driving
a 20-minute
distance.
drive.
Yeah.
So I got released from New England, went home, started working out for like a week, and then I got a call from Dallas to go work out for them. But I had to fly to Dallas that day. So I think they called me at like 9:30 in the morning when I was working out. I said, oh. So again, you kind of go through that thought process of like, okay, well, do I go to Dallas knowing that I'm probably not 100%, or do I just pass up on it? And I said, okay, well, I'm going to Dallas. So I went to Dallas, made the team, so on and so forth, finished out the season essentially there, but then made the decision at the end of the season that the politics of it were a little bit too much for me, in the sense of not really getting the fair shake, right? So the guys that get drafted are the ones that are going to get play. It doesn't matter how bad they are, they're going to get play. And that's what I saw sitting on the sidelines that
investing
year.
in those guys, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. Everything that I'm doing is better than that guy, but he's playing.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Right. So my wife, I guess she was my girlfriend at the time. She was from Winnipeg. So I said, you know what? I would find myself to be happy when I was in CFL. I found it to be what I wanted out of football, in the sense of being able to do what I want to do, get the interaction that I wanted with the fans, and that was more or less who I am. So
Nice.
I came back here. I played for another year in Winnipeg, moved on to Toronto, moved on to Edmonton, and then in Edmonton, I had my son. I think it was probably about midway through the season, and I think at that point, that's when I kind of sat on the bench and decided myself. I said, I'm done, because I want to be around my son.
Right.
So I had my daughter my first year in the CFL, and I felt like I missed a lot. Right. So by the time my son came around, I said, you know what, I don't want to play this game anymore. I'd rather be home with my kids, see my son grow up, and be there for him, as opposed to, okay, well, dad's going to be gone for 2 months at a time, or whatever it is. It's just too much of a imbalance for me. So
it said that you signed a 1-day contract so you could finish up your career as a bomber.
Yeah.
Yeah. So explain, what does that mean, and why did you do that?
Well, I was working at another dealership in the city at the time. And I had grounded myself in Winnipeg, essentially, thinking that this is where I wanted to be. This is where I was going to live, at least for the foreseeable future. And I thought, you know, where did I spend the most time with? Where did I feel the most love? And I said, well, you know, it's obviously Winnipeg. I'd been here for 3 years. I had such good contacts with people within the city, and they'd always had love for me no matter where I went, right? So I said, you know what, I want to retire, but I don't want to just retire as a guy that just, you know, he disappeared. I'd say, you know what, I want to retire as a bomber. So I called one of the guys there, Darren Cameron. I said, listen, I want to retire with you guys. And
Oh, he used to be a member here.
Darren Cameron.
Darren Cameron, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So called him up and made it work.
Awesome. So let me ask you this:
Yep.
since you're a coachable guy and you have spent some time on the other side being a coach as well, or advising,
Yep.
what would you tell an up and coming athlete about health, money, and women?
Yeah,
So
I saw that was in there. I knew
let's
you
break
wanted to
it.
get at that.
Let's break it down.
down.
So obviously, injuries kind of messed up your career. That's sort of what it is. So as you're going through the process of being a professional athlete, how do you stay on point and healthy to keep? I mean, I guess you can't predict the future. You don't know if you're going to get injured, but
Sure.
the variables that you can control.
Yeah, the process is.
What can you do to make sure that you're tip top?
That you can never do enough to take care of your body when you're not in the sport. So, you know, things didn't really become a big deal in terms of taking care of your body and putting in the good nutrients and the good supplements and all that until later in my career. That's when things really started to pop. Like, okay, this is what you should take at this time. This is what you should take at this time. Mm-hmm. You know, the LeBrons of the world spend, I think it was like $1 million a year on his body. And that's unheard of 10 years ago, right? Because guys didn't really realize, like, well, you know, I'm just going to play and my body's good, right? And that's what I started to really realize, I think, in my opinion, too late, is that I needed to take care of my body 24/7, not just, you know, when I was at the facility and maybe an hour after. It was a 24/7 thing. Everything I put in my body, everything I took out, the time that I put in was always to take care of my body. And I think that was probably the most important to understand is that whatever you're doing to take care of your body is how it's going to take care of you eventually at some point.
Nice, nice.
So,
and then what about money?
you know, it's a difficult, I guess, conversation to have because lots of it is based off of how you grew up, right? So I saw lots of guys in the professional side of things who had everything when they grew up.
Okay.
So they saw no need to spend money because they're like, oh, well, I've already had nice cars my whole life, or I've always had these things, right? Then you have guys that I play with that literally couldn't have 2 nickels to rub together, right? So then all of a sudden they come into 50 grand or 100 grand or 150 grand, and now they're like, well, I spent my whole life wanting these things and seeing them on TV and saying this is what I want. Now I can have it. So then that's what they do. Like, I'm going to go buy a watch. I'm going to go buy 6 pairs of Jordans. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that because that's what I can do now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have that when I was younger, right? So I think finding the balance in that, and like I said, part of it is how you grew up, but understand that you've got your whole life to get those things. Right? You've got your whole life to get a Mercedes or whatever it is that you're looking for. Just get by with what you need right now.
Yeah.
Right? So do you need a 6-bedroom house when you're 22 years old? No. Right?
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
It's all those little things, and you don't want to get caught up in making decisions with other people's money. Right. And that's what happens a lot too, is you might have the guys that walk in that are frugal, but they're like, okay, well, this guy is going to the club tonight and he's spending $2,000 a night.
Yeah.
Well, I have to spend $2,000 a night.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Stay home. Or spend less.
Drink his booze.
Yeah,
That's what I would do.
Hang out with him more.
Yeah, like drink his booze. Or, you
Yeah.
know, spend less. Like, you don't have to spend that,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's where we get into that weird little thing with social media, and that's probably a negative of it going forward.
Yeah.
Is that you have that feeling, that pressure that you have to do the same thing. You have to compare. Envy for sure, right? Because if you're not doing what they're doing, you're like, oh, what's wrong with that guy? Or how come I can't do that, right? But then if you are doing it, maybe you're doing it beyond your means, right? Not everyone's situation's the same. And like when I was growing up, they'd always say, never count another man's money. Right? So don't worry about him or him. So you know what you have in your account. You know what you have coming in. You know what you have to pay for. So just stay within that.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Okay, and so women. So when you're a professional athlete, tell me.
He's a married man.
So let's. Well, we're talking previous. Or did you have your now wife? But was she with you during your professional
majority of my career? Yeah.
Okay, so then let's talk about your teammates. I'm sure you've seen some good stories, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but
Sure.
do you find that women or the sexual side of the thing? I'm sure you guys had groupies and fans, female fans, cheerleaders that you had to deal with. Like, how do you navigate that when you're a rock star and everybody kind of wants you? You know.
Well, you got to understand. I think where you are in the situation. Sure, you want to take advantage of it in the sense of you're young, you're single, whatever it is. You want to have fun, but you also have to keep things in perspective. You got to make things. You have to make good decisions, right? Protection's obviously the number one decision that you make, right? And a lot of guys make a poor decision. It's like, oh, well, you know what, it'll be fine.
Right.
And then they end up having a child wherever that city is that they're in, right? So that's probably number one. I can't.
That's good advice.
I can't
use protection.
Yeah. Like, I can't even begin to try to explain how important that is.
Yeah.
I think it's important for a lot of youth that are coming up now. I just feel like sex is so easy to get now, right? All you got to do is swipe right and somebody's down.
Yeah.
Whereas before we'd have to go to the clubs or
all this work.
You have to play the game.
Get them drunk.
It got easier when you would text people, right?
Right.
Back in the day, you used to have a phone call and you'd spend all night on a phone call. Remember those days?
You had to put in work.
Yeah, you had to put in work. Now it's like, I'm just going to DM you. Yes or no. If not, I'm going to DM 10 other people.
Right. And then it's there. So
for the young, up and coming people,
there's time for it. There's always going to be time for it. Like it can't play a part in what you do on an everyday basis. So again, like with the professional athlete side of things, you had guys that would spend too much time with the women as opposed to spending time on their craft, right? If you're not spending time on your craft, that's going to go away at some point, but the women won't, right? So the women will always be there. There's going to be women everywhere for a long time, right? So you got to understand that you got a small period of time that you have to perfect your craft and to use it to your ability to make the most sense for you. Whereas the women will always be there. So just making a time and a place for it so that they're separate and not necessarily intertwined. Best way to put it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So how does that relate to spending time with your kids now?
See, it's the opposite, right? Like for me, and now I've seen guys who make the determination that right now they're going to play in their career and their kids can wait, right? Like seeing their kids grow up and seeing all that stuff, that can wait. They're separate. When I'm done with my career, I'll spend all the time that I want with my kids. And I didn't see it that way at all. And again, that kind of goes back to what my mentality was going into sports, is that I didn't need it. I just did it because I was good at it, but I didn't need to play football. I didn't need to, go travel. That's not what I needed, because I knew that there was going to be life after football, right? So whether I was in it for 1 year or I was in it for 10, there was going to be a need for me to be a normal person at some point after that. So I think that was probably what helped me the most with the transition coming out of football and being okay with it, is the sense that I've already been okay with leaving it 10 years ago.
Right.
It's just it happened to be something that I was caught up in at the time. So for me now, like with that thought process of my kids, I said, okay, well, you know what? My kids are the most important thing in my life. And I can't get back their younger years. I can't get back seeing them grow up. I can't get back seeing them walk and all that stuff. So what do I need less? Well, football's gone. It can be the back of my mind. I can never do it again, but I know that I have my kids for the rest of my life. So that's part of it for me.
So it's about being able to pivot.
Yes.
Basically, and be able to pivot quick, right? Because a lot of people out of this are going to have to pivot. And there's a lot of people that up until this point, they just worked all day, and they take pride. I'm so tired. I work all day. But then it's that addiction that a lot of people get when they do that. And meanwhile, you ask them, well, how's the family life? And they just, I don't know. Well, it's okay.
Kids are good.
Yeah, good. Are you sure? Do you actually know?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you do, right? And I think I love that, because you got to have the balance, right? The balance.
When did you know that you were talented? What age were you when you're like, I'm good at this? Who told you?
And how big were you at your biggest? What do you weigh right now?
I'm probably about 260 right now. My biggest, I was about 275.
How tall are you?
6'4".
Okay. Just a little guy. How cute.
We're not taking a photo standing up, Jerome. Okay.
Well, we're going to be on chairs.
You got some.
Pull the risers out.
Yeah. Phone books. I need phone books on this.
Just stand up on your tippy toes. They won't even see it.
Yeah.
When did I know I was talented? I think it was probably my sophomore year of high school, because I was on junior varsity at the beginning of the year, just because I was a smaller guy, in the sense of, I think at that time I might have been, 6'2", like 185 as defensive end, which is small.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I hit a bit of a growth spurt right before my sophomore year, so then I was about 6'4" now, but I was still lanky. I was 185, 190 or something. But that first game that I played, I had 3 sacks and like 7 tackles. I was like, okay, well, this isn't really as hard as I thought it would be, right? And then I continued to play on that season with guys that are much older than me, but still producing quite a bit. So then I think going forward after that, I started to realize that I was pretty good at it, but I had a coach who was really no nonsense. His God rest his soul is Armin Colombo. He's like one of the winningest high school coaches in the U.S., and he's an old, small little Italian guy, but he told you exactly how it was. He wouldn't lie to you. So if you were shit, he'd tell you you're shit. And if he told you were good, he'd say you're not as good as you thought you were.
It's like a Rick.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
No, that's like a you. That's you right there. He never gets too many accolades, right?
For sure.
1 accolade and 3. Here's how you can do your shit better. That's how it is.
No, but how it is.
Yeah.
You're a how it is guy.
How it is.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Back in the day, easy work for a lot of players, a lot of athletes, is playing the game.
Yeah.
The hard work is studying film, is PR, right? Public, and working out in the gym.
Yeah.
Right. So now in your life, your day-to-day life right now, what's easy work for you? What's something that you're just like, yeah, let's go. Like I can do 2-3 hours of that.
Just hard work in general.
Yeah.
Because I spent so much time being busy as an athlete, whether when I was in school, it was like, okay, you're in class, you're at the gym, you're in the film room, you're doing your school work, or you're sleeping, right? There was no downtime. So for me, I had grown accustomed to always being busy and being okay with it, because then like, okay, well, I'm just looking for the next thing to do, right? So then now I've kind of transitioned to my regular life at this point, where if I'm not busy, I'm like, oh, what's going on? Like, what can I do?
Yeah.
Right. And even when I'm busy, I'm like, okay, well, what else can I do? Because I feel like it's not enough. And I think going forward, that's part of what I'm going to struggle with is feeling as if I'm not stimulated enough because I've gone from a time in my life where I had so much to do over, I guess, what a normal college student would have had. And I also worked when I was in college, which was stupid, but it is what it is. That was just because I didn't know any better. I was like, okay, well, I've got Fridays and Saturday nights open, I'll work, right? Instead of enjoying my life, which is, again, part of how I didn't really have a grasp on what normal things were. You know, as a high school, or not high school, but as a college student, I was working when most people were partying, right? So
we had a chat, was it on Tuesday, with a woman that went through some major addictions.
Yep.
And one of the things that she was saying, like the way that you know you're an addict is that when you're sitting at home and, you know, they're thinking about drinking, but there's also the point of like, what should I do now? What should I do now? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's a tough battle that a lot of us are facing either right now. So for us, we're okay because we have a schedule. Like Rick, we work out at 7. There's the podcast preparation. There's the podcast. Go home, we work a little bit on CSP, and then it's Netflix, or I don't know what the heck you do in the evenings. But, you know, I have a very structured day. So this, the sense of being isolated didn't really affect me because even since January, we went on a family trip, and this is exactly what I did. I worked first thing in the morning, and then we were gone all day. Right. So now it's just kind of – so now I've got that, right? But I think a lot of people right now are struggling with – like their purpose and finding what to do next. And, you know, a lot of people are going to have the COVID-15. It's going to be like a post-pregnancy thing. But I mean, if you look at a lot of athletes, like I'm watching The Last Dance and I'm looking at MJ, and I'm looking at MJ when he was, you know, in the 80s, 90s, this guy was shredded.
Oh yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying like he's fat, but he's not MJ. And you look at Barkley and you look at Shaq, and you know what I mean? Like all these guys, these athletes that had that schedule. It's just like our clients had. I get up, I go to the gym, I shower, I go to work, I go home, I get food ready, I prep for the day, I do a little bit of work, I go to bed, Monday to Friday, right? And now people don't have those major plug points. And so they're, you know, I feel like a lot of people are going to come out of this with the retirement mindset where it's like, I don't want it. Like you get lazy. Like,
for sure.
The lazier you get, the the less you do, the easier that gets for you because your body wants to do nothing. Go look how easy it'll be for you to gain weight versus go see how hard it is to gain muscle and then see how hard it is to keep the muscle, right? And so the reason why is it that how many people die from obesity and disease versus how many people die of starvation? You know what I mean? On average, right? Go and do that research. Somebody, please prove me wrong. It's harder to die of not eating. Yeah, sure, in some third world countries and this and that, right? But the majority of the population are dying from obesity, right? And why? Because it's easy to get fat and lazy, and it's hard to get fit and maintain it. And so out of this, if you got that mindset, you're waiting for the gym to open up. You said this when we did that. You're so happy, and you would have had major regret if you didn't go to the gym on that last day. And so for people right now that are sitting on their hands and waiting to get busy again, it's going to be, they're talking about it's going to be a 3 to 6, maybe a 12-month like financial recovery for business. It's going to be a 3, 6, 12 month for you to get back into your mindset of like, I'm back. I got to get on my goals. You ask somebody what their goals are right now. I just need to eat less cake at night. You know, like that's your biggest goal right now. And I get it. So I'm understanding. I'm empathetic with that, but I'm also not.
You guys think it's a skill to be able to chill the fuck out? Like, you know how you guys vibrate? I can tell already. You vibrate at a high level. You like to keep busy all the time. Do you suffer from guilt if you're just sitting there? Like, do you feel like, oh, man, I should do something else?
But I also think I try to replace things. So what we were talking about is I'm guilty of not going to the gym, but what I've replaced it with is just spending more time with my kids. Right. So I used to go to the gym early in the morning, so I wouldn't see them wake up, and then I'd just see them when I got home. So then now I've gotten to the idea is that, okay, well, I'm just going to see my kids wake up. I'll spend the morning with them. I'll make breakfast. I'll spend time, and then I'll go to work. And that's what I've replaced it with. So going back to the normal, once the normal comes, which is the gym, I think I'm going to have a hard time doing that, right? Because then I'm going to feel guilty about going
missing
to the gym.
That time.
Right?
Time.
Because then now I'm not, making breakfast and hanging out with my sons in the morning. So it's
I think that's a good thing, though.
What's that?
Like feeling guilty about not doing something. See, with me, I have no problem. Like you said, I've got a structured day, like now, right? So we'll talk right now, not before, but I got a structured day up to a certain point, come to a 2:15 class, hang out here, go home. And then by 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm pretty much good to just chill.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I should cut the grass, clean the garage, or wipe the windows down, or whatever people think about, right?
Yeah.
So, but I see everybody that I hang out with is all high achievers, and I can tell you're probably the same type of person. Do you ever just sit there, or when you're sitting there, do you feel guilty? Do you have the ability to shut that off and just relax? And I'm saying it because my wife can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We'll sit there on the couch, and she makes every effort to be like, the great wife and sit with her man and watch Netflix, but I can see her like this.
Yeah.
It's just itching to get on the laptop, wanting to do something, you know what I mean? Whereas me, I'm like, I'm totally fine chilling. Like, I feel like it's important to be able to do that. Like,
I think I kind of go through in phases sometimes, and then it just kind of depends on how I've gone through the week, right? So like by the time a Friday, Saturday, Sunday comes along,
Earn it.
I'm fine.
so if you feel like
he's
you've
a,
earned
he's
it.
an earn it guy.
Yeah. But then like a Monday, Tuesday, I'm like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
well,
you're
we're
high
watching
wired.
the show, but I got to figure out what I'm doing for work tomorrow or what I'm doing for
Right.
advertising.
I'm the same way.
So
Yeah, I hear you.
So just going back to that, and that's one of the skills that I've developed actually is hanging out with my kids.
Mm.
So yesterday I was like, hey, I don't really want to watch TV. I did watch one episode, and I just was thinking of Rick the entire time. Rick, I know Rick's kicking back, and so you know what? I'm just gonna give this to myself. So boop, right? Even just like close the eyes. My kid was next to me. Close the eyes for 20 minutes, right? Just enjoyed it. And then after that, we built a fort, and I sat in the fort. No TV, no phone, no nothing. I just sat there and just was playing with the kids and just really dove deep into it. Like, okay, so where does the fire truck park, and so what color's the fire truck? And I just kept asking these like questions, and I was getting into it, just getting like down to a 3-year-old's level. Right. So that's one of the skills I feel like I've taken on is just when you're there, just be there. If that's what you're doing, then just be there.
Yeah, okay. So then that kind of answers the question. So you can kind of turn your brain off for 30 minutes and play in a fort.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Big time. And we did that for 30 minutes. I was shocked. And I was like, this is awesome.
I personally really struggled with that, honestly, when I got out of the whole gym thing, is that I found the gym to be like my stress relief, right? From work and then dealing with toddlers, right? So when I didn't have the gym anymore and then I was spending more time with my son, I struggled a lot with being able to, I guess, be more patient with him because he would just be nuts. And I'm just trying to get him to hang out.
We're going to put our kids together after this. That's what's going to happen. I'm curious as to see what my kid's going to be like with other kids around him. Yeah.
But he's normal around other kids. Just normal.
Right? Okay.
Like he's an innocent little soul. But then when it's me, he just wants to jump on my face and grab me. And
do you ever wonder, like, am I not giving him enough attention? Because Jet does that to me too.
Yes.
Like he's jumping on me. You'll take a pop in the nose, and right? You're like, what's going on here? Settle down.
Yeah, I go through it all the time in terms of, well, maybe I'm not paying attention. Because I literally will just pull my phone up and look at it, and then he will just go off.
Yes.
Why?
About just, I don't know, maybe it's just the fact
he's slapping your phone or
Oh, like that's going to take the attention away from him?
Yeah.
Oh, I see,
So he'll like go up to my phone, and one of my pet peeves is someone touching my phone when I'm on my phone. Right? He'll just go up and be like, tap something.
Jet does that.
Yeah. What are you doing? Right. So it's a transition. I'm getting better with it, but it's one of those things that the gym has been such a big part of that, I guess, mental health for me, that adjusting to it thereafter has been really difficult. But like I said, now I've kind of fallen into place understanding that I'm not going to get back to it right away.
Right.
So
I think one thing that you brought up with that guilt is that I think you should feel guilty. There's guilt, and depending on your parents, your mom, however she raised you, you might feel guilt a little bit more. Yeah. But I think that everybody should experience some type of guilt, but it's a healthy guilt. Yeah. Right? So it's like, oh man, I feel guilty for eating that cheesecake because I backed it up with a bowl of ice cream. Like that's guilt you should feel. So tomorrow,
agreed.
You know what? Tomorrow I'm not going to eat cake. Right? Like I think it's that there's got to be the guilt. There's got to be what is the problem, and then it's like, okay, so what is the solution? And it's got to be a realistic solution. Like, I had a whole weekend of Oreo cookies all weekend. So now Monday through all next week and the next month, that's unachievable. Yeah. So it's not a healthy solution. I think you have your guilt, turn it into a healthy guilt, and then come up with the solution for that that's realistic.
Right, and it's being able to shut it off. Right, it's that idea that, okay, well, I've had Oreos, I've had this. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, even myself, I've fallen into it where I can't shut it off. It's like, well, you know what? I only had 3 yesterday. I guess I could have a couple more today.
Yeah.
It's like,
Might as well finish off that one
Yeah.
package or whatever.
If they're gone,
Yeah.
I can't have any more. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
The justification
I've already
phase.
started.
Yeah.
That's the
Can't
one.
stop
I've
now.
already started. Yeah. There's a challenge actually I'd like to issue to our viewers, and thank you everybody for tuning in, is to put a timer on your phone, right? So when you go to eat, put a timer on your phone for 20 minutes. Because they say the 20 minutes is the trigger, right? That your body lets you know when you're full and satisfied. And so put your meal down, eat your meal, but eat it in 20 minutes. Don't eat it all. Like you got 20 minutes to eat that meal.
That's a lifetime.
That's a lifetime
to try and eat. Hey?
But that's what there was a research out there on that. It's like that 20-minute mark. So can you eat your food slowly? You know, cut it, eat it, engage in a conversation maybe, or just take your time with it all.
Yeah.
Versus, I find when I eat steak really fast. I don't know what it is, but it's just something about the fat or whatever it is. And I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
and I eat it with my hands.
I'm a total shoveler.
I cut
too.
it. Yeah, I cut all my steak. I don't know why. I cut all my steak first, and then I just eat it with my hands.
Right.
I don't know why, but then it's gone.
Yeah. So I got 2 fathers at the table. Let me tell you, and we'll just talk about the sons for a second, not the daughters.
Sure.
You only got sons.
Yeah.
What-
The oldest son too.
What is some of the 1 or 2 things that your boy does that you just is so you like you can tell it's your kid? You know what I mean? Well, what does he do?
One of the things I really don't have a lot of patience for barking dogs. I've got 2 dogs at home.
Okay.
One of them is not so yappy. The other one is really yappy, and she's a Yorkshire poodle.
Oh yeah.
And the early part of her life, she used to sit in my wife's mom's house and lay on the couch, and she had a direct view of the street. Everything that went by, she would bark at it.
Yeah.
And it was just normal life, right? Whereas I came from a household that dogs do not bark.
Yeah.
So when we moved in together, I was like, what in the world is going on here?
I gotta live with this.
So I'm after the dog constantly in that sense of, okay, you don't have to bark at the guy who's literally getting his mail 15 houses down.
Yeah.
Right? So I'd yell at the dogs. So then now, if I'm not in the room and he sees her barking or hears her barking, he's like, Coco, stop barking. Enough.
And you're like, oh.
He's got your back, eh?
Yeah.
He's got your back. That's good. That's awesome.
Or if they're in the kitchen while we're eating dinner, I don't say anything. He goes off on her. Like, Coco, get out of the kitchen. And my wife just turns.
How about you? What is
Two things. Number one is he's bossy.
Yeah.
So
we're talking Jet.
Jet. Yeah, he's bossy. He's bossy. He's bossy. He'll grab I'll grab him and play with him, and he's too much. He goes like that to me. I'm like, too much. All right. Number 2 is that he's a mama's boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a mama's boy. As much as he loves to hang out with me, come. I want him to come and sleep. We sleep in separate beds. They get the king, I get the double or whatever, and I'm like, Jet, you guys come and sleep with me. Like, come and sleep with me, no problem. Like, I got the day off tomorrow. Let's stay up all night, whatever. Sleep with mommy. All right.
Yeah.
Go to mommy.
Fine. They like the king bed, bro.
Yeah,
The
they
bigger
do. I
one.
think that's what it is. But except when you see them sleep, here's my wife, and then here they are.
Yeah.
They're like stacked on each other. She's got one kid huddling her, and the other kid on the other side.
Yeah.
Sure. No, there's no space in that bed. I could probably put her on a cot, and they would have enough room for all 3 of them.
Yeah. What do you expect your son to be when he grows up? Looking at his little personality right now, what can you see him being?
He'll be an athlete of some sort for sure.
Oh yeah.
I can't deny him. I always told my wife before we had sons, I said, I'm going to make sure my kids play sports. And then I got into this idea. I said, you know what? He's just going to do what he's going to do. But just the way he is, like, he's running around, he's grabbing the basketball and trying to run with it like it's a football. And like, he's just doing a lot of athletic things. Like, look, I can jump. And he like gets on this, jumps off. My wife's just looking at me like, this is you. This is your problem. This is what you're teaching him to do. But it's like, hey, but he's pretty athletic. Did you see that?
It's awesome. Everything he's doing is awesome, man. That's boy stuff. Perfect.
Yeah. So
Put him on the roof.
Exactly.
Put him off the roof.
I'll have him. I used to put him on top of the car or whatever we were driving. Like, jump to me. And, he would go through his process of not wanting to jump, but then now he's like, put me on the car. I want to jump. Right. So it's that kind of thing. I think he's just going to be. He's going to be pretty aggressive. He's a smaller guy though. from what I think he's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll play sports, but it's just a matter of what. I couldn't tell you.
Does he understand your past? Like, does he get it that you played football in front of tens of thousands of people?
Not to the full scale. He understands football, so like I'll wear
which the 3-year-old?
3-year-old.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the 3-year-old, we'll see like the bomber emblem and be like, oh, football, daddy, football, or something like that, or I'll see it on TV and I'll sit down and I'll kind of be like, ooh, oh, and then he'll start trying to tackle me or whatever. But he gets it to that extent. My daughter completely understands it in terms of what I used to be and whatnot, because she actually came to some of the games when she was younger. So the 3-year-old understands it kind of. The 8-year-old definitely understands, and obviously the little guy's just drooling, so he doesn't get anything.
Trying to learn to walk.
Jet, what's he going to be?
I think Jet is going to be. I think he's going to be smarter than me. Like, he just gets things instantly. He's got a crazy memory. Jet, hey, where's my where'd you put my cell phone? Goes in a closet underneath a box. I'm like, how did you even know that was there? He builds a better fort than me. No word of a lie. He can build a door and everything, and then he'll take my cards and he'll pull them out of my thing, and then he'll put a letter on, like he'll draw it as a letter, and I'm like, who did that? And I think it's Neri, right? Because it's very particular. He's so particular with where he puts everything. He won't put his toys away. Yeah. But he'll make a wicked fort and he'll draw something, with my credit cards or whatever. And I'm like, he did these ropes and he built the ship and they were in layers. And I was like, whoa. Like,
I saw that yesterday.
I couldn't do that even if I tried.
He did that?
He did that. Oh, you'd think an adult did some of these things that he did that.
Wow.
And I'm like, hey, he's going to be smarter than me. So I don't know what he's going to be, but it's going to be something along those lines. Yeah. I think Kai, my youngest, he's going to be the athlete because he's big and he gets bullied. And he's like, one time I seen him go to the edge of the bed. And so we have an ottoman and the bed's a high bed. So it's got the whatever it's called. Then it's got another bed. Then it's got another bed. So it sits this high. And he rolled off the bed onto the ottoman, like safely. So he took that risk. And we're like, ah! He gets up and he's just like back to whatever he was doing. I was like, yeah, if you got that much courage, and he jumps off things now, you know what I mean? He walks around. He wants to always walk and push things, and like, oh man,
that's
he's
awesome.
Gonna be the nuts one,
We're gonna wrap up the podcast. That was an awesome chat. A little bit of daddy advice from an ex-professional athlete. If you want to, we'll just give you your plug. If you want to go and see Jason over at the New Winnipeg Dodge, buy yourself a vehicle, because what else are we doing? We might as well buy some cars, right?
Might as well buy something nice and shiny.
Anyways, man, I appreciate you coming on down. We're going to dance it out. We're almost done. Let's see the moves, buddy. Let's see them.
Yeah.
Beauty.